Welcome to the Practice Podcast, conversations probing the nature of practice. I'm your host, Dave Fearon. Well, folks, this is the first episode where the person with whom I'm speaking had to go outside and stand on her porch in order that the background noises weren't disruptive for our conversation. And the background noises are the oinks of pigs and a few barks of dogs. Antonia Ciaverella, fascinating person. She is an architect with focus on school environments, learning environments in schools. But you're going to hear a lot about what it's like for her to be a essentially recent developer of a sanctuary in her home for pigs and rescue dogs, rescue pigs and rescue dogs. Yes, oink. I'm just so pleased to have had this unique episode to add to our podcast series because she, as I said at the end of this conversation, she's got it all together. Her craft, her art, her ability to be learning constantly from these animals and translating that learning into other things that she does is quite remarkable. So here is Antonia Ciaverella. Well, folks, this is going to be a lot of fun because I have Antonia Ciaverella on camera for this podcast, but she's not alone. We may be having an actual chorus of sounds as we develop, even though she's very kindly trying to get a little bit away from one of her practices, which is to develop a sanctuary for, I would say, people who got like pet pigs, but then they realized that they didn't want to have pet pigs. And so among the choruses you'll hear, maybe, are four wonderful pigs who I've gotten to know because most every Saturday that some of us have gotten to know each other through the pandemic, we have a happy hour. And I've met all your pigs. Welcome, Antonia.
Thanks, Dave.
Let's start with let's start with your avocation. Tell us what the name of your sanctuary is and then why.
Sure. So we are Underdog Sanctuary, and we are somewhat new, just formed last fall. And we do, as you mentioned, have four rescue pigs. I was going to say five. Maybe that's a sign.
Look over your shoulder.
Yeah.
There may be a litter in there.
Oh, we're spayed and neutered, so that's good.
All right.
We're all set. Yeah, we have four rescue piggies: Peter and Parker, Diana and Natasha, and also four rescue dogs: Honey and Basil, Bandit, and Ricky. And I think trying to figure out when this kernel of an idea first started, and it seems like ever since I was really young, I've had just an affinity for animals, and it's just grown over the years. Started out as I think a lot of kids do in the hamster world. So I had pet hamsters, a pet rabbit, a bird. Our family had dogs, and it's just evolved all through college, and then now even into adulthood. And it really crystallized for me in purpose practiced. And it was actually starting this sanctuary was not something that I actually arrived to as my first goal. The pigs were a reward for my first goal. So if I accomplished this, I said, if I accomplished X, then I would get a pig. Rescue a pig.
I heard a pig.
Yeah, you and my parents.
Pig.
Yeah, that is true. I took some liberties with that. So yeah, it started from purpose practice, I would say. And it was just the idea of, I think the farm, it was some sort of a farm bookstore combination is what I was working with. And then, incorporating elements of design and art and architecture into that bookstore component, just trying to really bring all these facets of myself and what interests me into one space. Mm-hmm. And so while I, certainly still love books, I leaned into the farm idea and the firm where I practice architecture here in Hartford. They also leaned into the farm and the pigs, which has been great. So,
oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. So I get to, we even took one of the pigs to an event, a client event once last fall. So it's just been this really great blend of architecture and farm and finding purpose.
Wow. Folks, I think I know I've brought several other of my friends into podcast episodes because Brent Robinson is one of them. He had a gleam in his eye a few years back. He's also in a design world. Mainly, he was designing strategies and brands for client companies. And he said, why don't we do this for a person? We work to get people to collectively see a future that they'd rather have than the one they're having now because they feel it would be better for them and the world. Why don't we see if a person could follow somewhat the same process? And I help with the early discussions of that and help come up with a name, Purpose Practiced. Having a purpose, but doing little or nothing regularly about it, that purpose goes away, doesn't it, Antonia?
Yeah, it's really true.
So the practice side, and we'll come back right now to your sanctuary, the practice side, to keep this purpose of the farm, but in the meantime, moving toward it with the animals there in your house, it takes a tremendous amount of time and effort. And you don't just do that because someone's paying you $9 an hour. You do it out of your heart. So give us a glimpse of what a day would be, in addition to your job in the architectural firm, just to keep this little household of 8 creatures fed, cleaned, and happy.
Right. It definitely, the word practice here is definitely synonymous with routine for us. The piggies, mm-hmm. They have a schedule. So sure enough, I don't need my alarm clock. They're ready to go. 6:00, they let me know it's time for breakfast, which I find actually quite lucky because I was not sure initially. I'd heard rumors, farm animals tend to be very early risers. So I wasn't sure what to expect at first, if I was going to be awakened at 4 or 5.
Yeah.
So, 6:00, I'll take it. So we get up and the first thing is they sleep in the piano room. So they wake up and they walk with me down the hallway into the dining room where we fill food bowls. And then they go back into their piano room and have their breakfast while I let the dogs out. The dogs get their time outside, come on in. I feed the dogs their breakfast in the living room. And then the piggies get their time outside. And it's definitely choreographed, I would say. Definitely choreographed. And yeah, sometimes the pigs actually, their favorite, they get a little treat when they go outside, especially on rainy days or cold days, to entice them. So we sprinkle some Honey Nut Cheerios, any kind of Cheerios, really. But
those Honey Nuts, I would go outside for a Honey Nut Cheerio. That's for sure.
Me too. So they get a little sprinkling of those. They do their business, and they, depending on the weather, they're pretty quick to come back inside some mornings. Just that first trip outside. Then we spend a little bit of time inside cleaning everybody out, getting some fresh bedding. And then we go back outside for like a late morning, around like 9:30. They're ready for another snack. They're ready to go back outside, stretch their legs again. So it's probably every 2 hours, we're doing the outdoor shuffle.
Wow.
Yeah.
And do they nap in between, or are they just sort of playing around and waiting for the next treat?
I would say in the early part of the morning, they will go back to sleep afterwards. They've got their full bellies, full of breakfast. So in between those first two morning outings, they'll go back to sleep. Later mornings, they have lots of puzzle toys, those doggy puzzle toys or treat balls. So they're more active, I would say, between like 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And then then we have, we've got lunch in there, and then they've got a mid-afternoon nap that they must enjoy. So yeah, I think they have kind of a lull in the early morning and in the afternoon where they're napping with full bellies.
Now, those are your moments, right? Right.
Yeah.
During their naps and the lulls, when you can either get ready for more of their needs, which you're doing wonderfully, but also squeeze a job in there somewhere.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the part that you squeeze in there, given the fact that pigs are and those dogs are your one of your loves and your purpose. And I must add, you are their purpose too. Imagine those 8 creatures if you weren't there to care for them. That would be awful. I mean, they would be broken up. These 4 pigs are, they work in tandem. So you have a lot of meaning to them, but then you also have meaning to, you mentioned your architectural firm. Talk a little bit about that. And how do you squeeze that into your life?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, it's been, with work from home, just really great to have that technology available, so that I can be here watching over the piggies, and doing work on the computer. So, sometimes I can bring my setup into different rooms and just wherever the piggies are. That way I can be watching them and doing some work. Definitely have days where I'm in the office. So the pigs are really well trained. They have, just like a dog, we've trained them to go potty outside so that when they're in the house, no accidents, litter box just in case. So for those days when I am in the office, I have a late morning here at home. Then I venture in around 11 and just end up working around 6 business hours, and then back at it after the piggies go to sleep at night, usually to make up some time. It flexes, and the piggies they definitely have a routine, but they've also been really accommodating for any night meetings that I might have, things of that nature. So as long as they've got toys and treats, they're content.
I definitely want to talk to you a bit more about your architecture work, but I'm fascinated. Long before you were born, Johnny Carson's show was on every night around 11 o'clock, and there was a running joke on the Johnny Carson show. And a guest would come on and play with it, that Johnny would say, who's smarter, pigs or horses? Or pigs and dogs, or pigs and chickens? But I always favored the pig in that dialogue, because I don't know why. I just figured that they had to be pretty smart. You've now seen pig behavior for quite a while, more than a few months. You're watching them learn and adapt. What's that like?
Yeah, to me, it's the most interesting thing, Dave. Honestly, I was not expecting to be it's hard to know what to expect, right? Because I've never been a pig parent before. So when they first came under my roof, they were a few months old, and it was just amazing to watch not only their personalities develop, but like you said, they are so smart. So they learned, just like a dog, they learned tricks. They learned potty training really fast. They learned, I think they know their names, but they're so smart that they choose whether or not to come to them.
Yeah, that's like a human. That's like a husband.
Yeah, right. Selective hearing. they have just been so remarkable in terms of their their what's it, physical development. They've been losing teeth and all the things that like young mammals really, I guess, do.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just beyond that, I think just their curiosity has me really intrigued, and how their mannerisms are with each other, and it changes day to day, kind of just like that, like us, right? I can kind of tell when somebody is in a mood, or if somebody's having a good day. So I'm trying to think of for example, when everyone first arrived, Diana was she was the head honcho, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And that power has shifted a couple times. And I think it's just as their personalities grow and change, and as they grow and change. So I think now it's, Natasha, definitely when food is around, folks know that she's the master of the food. Parker, when there's fresh water, Parker's the first one to drink the fresh water. So that's his thing. Petey's the last one in the house. He loves being outside, and there could be a whole bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios waiting for him in the house. He's not coming.
Wow.
So yeah, they definitely all have their personalities. Natasha, I was cracking up this morning. It was a little chilly. And she did what she had to do. She came right back inside, and she leaned up against the radiator in the kitchen.
Oh my goodness.
That's her thing. She's like, that's it. I'm done. I'm coming in. I'm getting warm.
I'm getting warm. Now, how do they, dogs and cats, we're used to having them show what we think is affection. I think it is affection. With cats, it may just be manipulation to get us to give them a treat. But to be fair to our cat, 20-year-old Billy, she is affectionate. But are pigs affectionate to you?
Yes, they definitely are. Again, with personalities, it's evolved over time. Diana, I think, is the best example, where at first she was very timid when she first arrived in July of last year. And over the past few months, she has become one of the more affectionate ones. Absolutely. She melts every time I scratch her belly. That's the thing. She just gets so comfortable and relaxed. And she especially loves when I break out the hairbrush, give her a little massage with the hairbrush. So I would, her change has been the greatest. Parker was always affectionate from day one. He's been the most social, and they'll come sit with me if I'm sitting on the floor or on their mattress in their room where they sleep. They'll come and snuggle up next to me. When Parker was really little, he would lie on my chest. And
you don't want that now.
Asleep.
Parker's a fairly big pig right now.
Yeah,
probably 50 or 60 pounds now, I guess.
Yeah. So definitely affectionate. And they'll come up and they'll touch their nose to my nose.
Oh my Lord, that is something. That is something.
They're sweet.
So I would characterize at this moment in our conversation that your practice in rescuing, yes, definitely. But what you're putting the most time and effort in are those 8 animals, particularly your pigs. So your practice is your pigs. At all, beyond that. But if you were doing it out of love and compassion, but if you were an observer of animal behavior and that became more of a science and not just an art, you would be noticing things that very few people that I can think of really notice about pigs. They just don't give them any credit for having those abilities and those proclivities and the ability to show affection. So you've learned a lot.
Yeah, definitely have. And there's so much more to learn too. I feel like every day there's a new question. So definitely has, yeah, it has definitely absorbed a lot more than just time. I would say it's really just absorbed who I am. I would
Mm-hmm.
definitely change the way that I see the world, and the way that, as you said, the way that I practice, and the way that I've been able to have, to be able to really care for all eight all eight of these animals, and still advance my career. And that's not just me doing that. That's, I think, a credit to the whole community of people that surrounds me and believes in me. And so I'm just really grateful that, I mean, I couldn't be doing this practice if it was not for the conditions of everyone, and the belief of and support of everyone around me. Absolutely.
Well, I think it's well earned. I wonder if you can tell if this experience you've had now for over a year with your animals, particularly the pigs, has somehow changed the way you've been seeing yourself as an architect and actually doing the design. Is there something different there as a result of this other love that you have?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, from the initial concept of this sanctuary was grounded in a bolstering of confidence. And that's my confidence. That's confidence specifically in the children of today. Just being able to give them some outlet to express who they truly are and explore what they might not know about themselves quite yet, through interactions with these very funny, very amazing pigs. And so I think it's opened my eyes to the confidence that I have in myself, and the ability to keep looking forward towards a vision and a goal, and think empathetically, think about how you can create different environments for learning and support and nurturing. And it's similar for, I guess I don't have kids, so I don't know, but I'm imagining that, the environment and the situation that you want to create is centered around, obviously, love regardless, and compassion, and all of the things that I'm showering these pigs with. So hoping that the designs that the place that I'm in, and the designs that I'm able to help create and help guide clients towards, that personal spirit and energy that I have in the sanctuary world, hoping that shines through.
I think that's terrific. I don't know that you could find anywhere in your huge architectural community, thousands around the world, of anyone who is chosen this way to develop yourself to the point that it shows up in the vision you have for facility, buildings, however, and the kind of environment. I'm wondering, am I right that you have been involved in designing some schools?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned an atmosphere for children. Since I'm watching my clock here and I want to do this for hours, but we can't. Can you talk a little bit about how your feel for what you wanted in schools materialized, which is terrific about architecture, because you actually get to see it come together with brick and mortar and glass and more than that. So tell a little bit about a school story.
Sure. So I think, what excites me a lot about the schools that we're designing today, and the clients that we get to work with, are just the visionary ideas that are brought to the table. And a lot of those center around new ways to learn and new environments for learning. And the fact that, learning goes beyond the walls of the classroom. And so
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. That's my whole career right there.
Yeah. So, so I do. Those resonate. It resonates with me because I definitely feel like hands-on learning, project-based learning, outdoor classrooms, the ability to take a class out on a nature trail and be that observer that I get to do, I get to sit and watch these pigs on a Saturday morning. And I think, kids in school, you can learn so much just from observation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the confluence of everything that you're learning, from English and social studies to math and science, they're all interconnected. So seeing that interdisciplinary relationship strengthened is something that also excites me. So yeah, I'm just really fortunate to be in the education space, and hope that, once I have the opportunity to be able to invite classrooms of students over to meet these pigs, that will be a further knitting together of my farm life and my architecture life.
Wow. Great arc you just painted there. I began to start thinking of, when you're designing a school, why not have a sanctuary, adjacent to or part of the school? They've had examples of schooling that has been designed into senior residences, so that they can mix people a lot, and have intergenerational learning. That is a beautiful connection between what you can visualize and eventually materialize as schools, and what you have right there in your home. Many of the basic needs have to be met in both schools and your home, but beyond that, it's watching the learning happen and then nudging it a bit, which we teachers do.
Absolutely. I even feel like sometimes, I mentioned the pigs are in the piano room, so I'll even play the piano for them sometimes. And we've had our neighbor came over to sing for them. So there's just been, I think, even the connection between music and, thinking of interdisciplinary.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, if there was ever an opportunity to have a school music class play for these piggies, I would sign up for that.
We've got to try an Antonia 2.0, folks, but I do have one other question I have to get at least a beginning answer to.
Sure.
You mentioned when you were growing up, you had pets and so forth, and you've always had a feeling for animals. How did you choose architecture?
I've also had a lot of designers in my family. So we had, my great grandmother was a dressmaker in New York, and my cousin is in interior design. My great uncle is an architect and professor at Cal Poly. So it's design, and my father studied fine art. So it runs in the family. I think I came to it myself through honestly early experiences just in outdoor play when I was young. I used to always draw maps of urban cities in our cul-de-sac, and encourage all the neighborhood kids to get on their bikes and ride down the chalk road that I made and park in the video store parking spot that I made. And so I would design little towns in chalk in the cul-de-sac, and kids would bike around them. So I think the idea of designing environments started there, and grew into 3 dimensions.
What school did you go for your architectural degree? I
studied at Virginia Tech for Bachelor of Architecture, and I think that's that's where the animals definitely came into play too. I would take my sketchbook to the duck pond, and a little bit further down the road they had horses and cows, and so we would definitely enjoy taking walks to visit the animal residence at Virginia Tech. Wow.
Well, Antonia, there's so much symmetry to you. You must have been designed by a higher being who said, let's put it all together in one human being. Feeling, art, love, appreciation of outdoors, ability to use chalk to keep kids happy. It's all there. I'm really proud to be your virtual friends, since we've never met in person, yet we've known each other for 2 years. So
right, true.
One day we will see each other. But in the meantime, you've given me a wonderful episode 151 for the Practice Podcast. So thank you.
Dave, thank you for the invitation. It's a real honor.
If you'd like to hear more, listen in on Spotify, Podomatic, and Apple Podcasts, or go to inactionresearch.com/podcast-page. And if you'd like to learn more about social inaction and the nature of practice, head over to inactionresearch.com for more information. Thank you for supporting this show. We look forward to hearing from you soon.